A hot topic in the Call of Duty community has been skill-based matchmaking and how strong it seems to be lately. Back in the early days of Call of Duty, it felt a lot more chill, whereas when we switched over to crossplay, adding PC into the mix, it feels like it got turned up a ton. Every single game is like COD champs, and while that is kind of fun for a little bit, honestly, sometimes I just want to get on the game and chill, put some music on, but this game's skill-based matchmaking makes that really, really hard. There are pros and cons to sbmm, and we're going to talk about that in today's video, and we're going to go into if we feel like skill-based matchmaking has gone a little bit too far now, and if they need to dial it back. My name is Reflex, and welcome to Battle Royale Guides. Before we get into this video, I wanted to let you all know we're going to be doing weekly live streams on this channel at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing tier lists, talking to the chat, doing other stuff, and then going over like news within the community and the Battle Royale genre. So if that's something that you're interested, make sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on so that you don't miss out on that. Anyways, let's get right into this video. So I wanted to start off with going into the pros of skill-based matchmaking, and then after that we'll do the cons, and then I'll get into whether or not I feel like skill-based matchmaking has gone a little too far recently. Okay, so to start off with the pros, the devs have spoken on a little bit why they have it tuned the way they do, and it's basically just keeping player retention. They want to make sure that everybody is playing as long as possible, and so they try to make it to where everybody's playing against people that are equal skill level. So let's say you're a 1.0 kill death player, and with skill-based matching off, you just be running into people that are 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, and whatever, and that would not be fun for you. You'd be just going against all these players that are way better than you and just getting slammed. And while I do think that getting better has to do with you playing against people who are also better than you, if you're just getting slammed over and over, there's really nowhere to learn. You're just getting spawn killed over and over and over, and it's just not going to be fun. And for the most part, an average player, if that's happening to them, they don't want to get better. They just are going to get off and do something else. So at the end of the day, this kind of hurts the population of players. You really need a healthy community of players for a game to succeed. So basically, if you're getting put into games with people that are at equal skill level as you, if you're an average player, it kind of just makes you play a lot longer and you put more time into the game. And unfortunately, you probably spend more money on skins, and that's kind of what their bottom, like they care about their bottom line the most. So if you're playing more, you're probably spending more, and that's what they really care about. It's a pro for player retention, but it's also kind of worrisome because it's like if all they care about is money, you're probably never going to see them tune sbmm down. And like I said, if you're playing against players that are of equal skill level, if you just keep putting more time in, you're eventually going to get better and then be playing against people who are a little bit higher skill level than what you were at before. Now, unfortunately, where it sits right now, that's kind of the only pro that sbmm has, in my opinion, at least. If you guys have another opinion, make sure to drop it in the comments below. But honestly, the only pro that I have for skill-based matchmaking right now is just player retention. It keeps people playing. It makes you want to play more and more. If you're an average player, if you're like sitting at like a 3.0, 4.0 KD, every single game feels like an absolute sweat fest, and it can be fun if you're like trying hard. But like if you're just trying to chill, get on the game, maybe even play with friends, it just doesn't make it fun for you. Honestly, in my opinion, it makes it so that the game doesn't really feel that good. I'm sitting at a 2.3 in Warzone, and then in Resurgence, I'm sitting at a 4.5 KD. It honestly creates more problems than it fixes for people that are like in the top 1% of KDs. So let's get into the cons of sbmm. And if I miss anything today, make sure to drop it in the comments below. I want to hear what you guys think about sbmm, because honestly, I feel like it's such a polarizing topic. Like there's like a huge community that doesn't want it, and then there's a huge community that does want it, and then there's people who like maybe just only want it in ranked, which makes sense. Like it should only be in ranked in my opinion, but if you guys think otherwise, make sure to let me know. So to start it off for the cons, I'm gonna go ahead and just say this, it's a very cliche saying, ping is king. And I honestly feel like matchmaking in Call of Duty should always prioritize ping, like always. For me in Warzone, like at least in Warzone 1, it hasn't been like this as bad lately, but in Warzone 1, every single time I would play, I would just be getting East Coast servers. I live in Seattle, so it's like I would just be on the farthest West Coast as possible, and I'd just be getting East Coast servers all day, 80 ping, just because my skill is a little bit higher, so it would put me into games over there all the time. I can't even tell you, like, the amount of times that I got put in East Coast, I don't even really remember ever being on a West Coast server. The only time I got into West Coast servers is if I played Rebirth Island, and honestly, the Seattle servers for Rebirth were just riddled with packet loss. So basically, I just want them to prioritize ping a little bit more, but instead right now it's kind of just doing skills. So it's like the amount of times I'm just getting thrown into East Coast servers, it just sucks, because a game like this high ping and then with like really low tick rate servers, it just makes things happen in the game that just doesn't make sense. Like you'll be shooting somebody first and then you'll just die, and you'll watch the kill cam and it looks like they just shot you first. So there's a lot of problems that happen when you're sitting on high ping servers and the tick rate is really low. It just doesn't make sense to be forcing people to be playing on high ping when you could just be making it to where it prioritizes ping and you get the lowest ping possible every single game. Like honestly, nobody really likes playing on servers across the country. You would much rather play at the closest one possible. And that's what I think should be prioritized within matchmaking instead of having skill base. And then within ranked, obviously, I feel like that should be having a very strict skill-based matchmaking. But in pubs, like, come on, let's just turn skill-based matchmaking off, and in matchmaking, we'll only prioritize ping. Another problem with skill-based matchmaking is honestly, it kind of removes the ability for you to play with your friends. Like, as I said before, if you have like a friend who's a casual and they're like sitting at a 1.0 KD, and then for me, I'm at a 2.5 in the big map Warzone, and then in Resurgence, I'm at a 4.5. It makes it to where your friend is just going to get slammed and they're not going to want to play with you anymore. If you're just loading into games and skill-based matchmaking is forcing them to play with people that are closer to your skill level, it just doesn't make a enjoyable experience for your casual friend. And I don't mean to talk down on casuals. I'm just saying this because 90% of my friends are all at like a 1.0 or lower KD. And it makes it so that the experience is not fun. And I haven't played with my friends like from IRL in a long time because it's never fun for anybody. And so basically it forces me to play with people that are closer to my skill level. And unfortunately, my circle within Warzone is really small right now. So I don't really have a lot of people to play with. So a lot of the times I'm just firing up the stream and playing solo and just playing squad fills or something like that. And honestly, even if it's not to play with friends, maybe I just want to get on the game, listen to some music, lean back, have the controller in my hand and just be chilling. But I can't do that because it just feels like I'm going against the biggest tryhards ever because, you know, being at a 4.5 KD, everybody's going to be trying hard. Now, on top of all the issues that arise from skill-based matchmaking, we're also seeing a ton of conspiracies coming from it. We have people swearing that there's skill-based hit registration, where if you're a lower KD player fighting somebody who's higher KD, it'll in real time adjust your hit registration and make it to where you're hitting more shots than you would normally. This is kind of one of those things where it's impossible to know if it's happening unless you're working on the back end. So that's why I call it a conspiracy. While I do feel like there's some times I've run into problems where or gunfights that felt like there was skill-based hit reg and like I'm not hitting any shots and then they just fry me across the map and then they, no offense to them, look kind of like a bot and I'm just like, what just happened? And I do have to say, while I do think that there might possibly be something like that going down, it also could just be a connection issue where I'm on 80 ping, they're like really close to the server, let's say like 7 ping, right? And then they just looked at me and shot me. But on my screen, it looked like I shot first, but on their side, they shot me before I even started shooting. So I die so fast that I have no idea what's happening. And it's kind of weird. That's why I just call it a conspiracy because I really don't think this is happening in game right now. While the Activision does have patents for it, I don't know if they're actually implementing these things into the game yet. But like I said, there are people that are fully convinced this is happening. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys think there is skill-based hit reg or if there's not and it's just a conspiracy. The next conspiracy I saw was absolutely crazy to me, and I don't really know if I believe this or not. Apparently some people were saying that, I'm pretty sure it was on the Vondel map. I didn't really play much of Warzone 2. I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus from gaming when that game was out because it just wasn't as fun as Warzone 1. But people were saying that there was skill-based fog that was showing up. So like this guy on Twitter said that when he's playing with his lower KD friends, there would just be fog all over the map for him. But then he'd ask his teammates and they're like, no, there's no fog. We don't see that. So this is one of those, I don't think it's possible to prove this is happening unless you had all 4 players streaming and then the guy that had the highest KD was seeing this fog and then everybody else didn't see it. That's the only way I could see it being proven, but I don't think this guy had that happening. So it's like, if there's really skill-based fog within Call of Duty, I would be mind blown. But if you guys have seen it or if it's happened to you, let me know. I don't know. I think it's a conspiracy. I'm not convinced that it's a real thing, but it honestly could be. Knowing Activision, I don't know, man. It's just weird. A few more are there's just so many of these conspiracies. I don't even know where to like begin with this, but there's skill-based damage that people have been talking about. There's skill-based aim assist, skill-based loot, like where if you're running up to boxes, if you're a lower KD player, your boxes are just going to be filled with way better stuff. it's just insane the things I've seen online. So it's like, I feel like some of it's just like people coping, but then also like you do see some clips where you're like, how did like a kill cam where like the guy's just spraying like this and kills you immediately? As I don't get it. But if you guys think that these conspiracies are true, let me know. And if you guys have any proof on that, make sure to like, if you guys have any proof on any of this stuff, make sure to follow me on Twitter at ReflexUG and just send it to me over there so I can look it over. And then maybe we can do another video going over all this proof. But like I said, I have a hard time believing some of this stuff even exists, but you know, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things you're not going to know unless you actually work for Activision, but you probably signed an NDA to you can't even talk about it. So just one of those things. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to like the video and then also hit the subscribe button with notifications on so that you do not miss any more uploads. Like I said earlier, we're going to be streaming every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And with that, we'll be doing like a bunch of random stuff with the community. It's going to be a lot of fun. So don't miss that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. As always, I hope you guys all have an amazing day and I'll see you in the next video. My name is Reflex and this has been Battle Royale Guides.